congregation or you are streaming at home. It is an oasis inside right now, whether you are here or in your own home streaming, in terms of the weather outside. And we have an opportunity, a unique opportunity each and every week to be able to celebrate Shabbat together. And we welcome people who've never been here before, or for whom you've been here many times, but this is your first time back. So I want to invite you to say out loud, if you are new here to our congregation, or to even attending a service, if you'd be willing to raise your hand and tell us who you are. So yeah, please. You're from Brazil, like the country. We're glad to have you here. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Charlotte, and also to Temple Bethel. Who else has never been here before? Is someone in the back? Is that right? Yep, please. Your name? Monica. And tell me, who are you here with? Who are you here with that you are all here together? That's beautiful. So we have a Holocaust education group that is of educators teaching about the Holocaust from around the region who are here, and we thank you for the work that you're doing, and we are happy, Monica, but also everyone in your group who's here with us. We're thrilled that you're here. Anyone else, your first time coming into the congregation? Anyone else? Please, yes. Priscilla? Lovely to meet you. Welcome. Sometimes it takes a big energy and effort to come into a building for the first time and to actually cross a threshold and to try something new. And so we appreciate it. And we appreciate it a lot that you're here and you're doing something awesome by being here. Shabbat Shalom, we say Shabbat Shalom, and it's a reminder always of our greatest values, of shalom, of peace, of Shabbat, which is our day of rest and wholeness, a time to be together. And so we want to invite you to say Shabbat Shalom to the north, the south, the east, the west. It's okay to wave at a distance, but just to turn around and to welcome one another into our congregation. And we're going to start off, we're going to practice this. Hold on, before you do that, we're going to practice and return to the cameras, and we're going to say Shabbat Shalom to people who are at home. Shabbat Shalom. Perfect. Now, turn to each other and say Shabbat Shalom. You can do that. This week is the concluding part of Bamidbar, of the book of Numbers. And in it, we are listening to our ancestors recount their wanderings, recount their journey, taking notice of each step. From the journey that began in Egypt with the constriction of Mitzrayim, of Egypt, giving way to the vastness of the desert and the possibilities of freedom ahead. It challenged everything that they knew about. It challenged everything that they believed on their journey. And on their way, our ancestors, they got lost. They stumbled. They worried and they wept. They sought to discover who they could be. And over again, they battled with themselves. They sometimes battled with each other, trying to find ways out of disappointment, out of anger and pain. Our tradition tells us that the Holy One called out and said that there is no way to get to that promise except by going through the desert. And you can only go through the desert one step at a time. There's no way out but through. And you can only get there one step at a time. And that's a good Jewish teaching for us about life, too. It takes one step. Here on this Shabbat, we're gathering together. We take this time of the Sabbath to acknowledge the truths in our lives. And the light of Shabbat, it reveals the shadows too. And it's our task in our prayers and our actions to live with dignity and integrity and grace and love for ourselves and for others. To see the light as well as the darkness. To recognize that that desert journey is step by step along the way with the people around us. We welcome Shabbat by lighting the Shabbat candles, and this is, as Kenner Thomas is, I think, going to say.
So, lighting Shabbat candles and leading us in Kiddush tonight, of course, is Rebecca Gundersheim, who was our intern this summer and has so ably led us all summer long. And tonight is her last official night with her. We know this will not be the last time that you grace this yeshiva, for sure, but we are all so grateful to you for your work this summer and your presence and the music and the joy that you have brought to Temple. So, for one more time this summer, please, candles and kisses. Echad, Sha'im, Shalosh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Asher kiddushanu
b'mitzvotav
v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And together,
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim kivanu v'chata ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinachaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. L'chaim, to life. We take an opportunity to share wonderful and good things that have been happening in our lives. And I want to take an opportunity to just invite you to share things that have been good and wonderful and sweet, whether big or small. I will tell you that I was with my family this week, and we went whitewater rafting. And I stayed inside the raft. I did not fall out. For me, that was the small blessing that happened. Now, I can't say that when I say that I didn't fall out. I may have fallen in. But I stayed inside the raft. That was a huge, huge feat for me. For you, what were some of the small or big things or just things that you noticed that brought blessing to your life? Yeah. and celebrate. Well, happy birthday, Ginny. The president of the congregation when I came to Temple Bethel, thank you for your leadership and happy birthday to you. Anyone else? Yes, please. The third season of the show that you like to watch came out, and you're gonna watch it. High School Musical, the series. Awesome. That sounds like a show that you would love. I actually think that's consistently you. And also, happy watching. Happy watching. Anyone else? Yes. Amen and amen. For all of the kids that you are mentoring and that they are home with their body parts, but not necessarily their belongings. Definitely not their belongings. And for the blessing of Shabbat and of Rebecca and everything to our community, amen. A few more, anyone else? Anyone else want to? Yeah, please. For safe travels and for a beautiful family, we give thanks. Shabbat Shalom. So for all of those things, whether it was, staying inside of a raft, which I know does not seem that big, but felt really big to me, right? To the enjoyment of art and things that make us have joy inside, to family, to accomplishment, we give our thanks to God for not only giving us life, but sustaining our lives to help us reach joyous moments.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
The blessings of our community light up our sense of love and healing and connection that they have with one another. And so as a beloved community, we turn to each other and we turn as a beloved community in sharing and welcoming the joy of Shabbat with the words of Lecha Dodi, which are found on page 138.
Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Shabbat. Adonai Echad, Ushemo Echad, L'Shem Ultiferet, Veli Tila, Lecha Dodi, Ligrat Kala, Pene Shabbat, Nekabela, Lecha Dodi, Ligrat Kala, Pene Shabbat, Nekabela, Ligrat Shabbat, Lechu V'nelcha, Ki hi Mekor Haveracha, Merosh Mikedem Nesucha, Sof Ma'aseh B'machshava Techila, Lecha Dodi, Ligrat Kala, Pene Shabbat, Nekabela, Lecha Dodi, Ligrat Kala, Pene Shabbat, Nekabela. Hitoreri, Kiva Orech, Kumi Uri. Uri, Shir Daberi, Kivod Adonai, Alaich Nigla, Lecha Dodi, Ligrat Kala, Pene Shabbat, Nekavela, Lecha Dodi, Ligrat Kala, Pene Shabbat, Nekavela.
Oy v'shalom, ateret bala, am besimcha uv'tzola, toch emunei am segula, oy chala,
Lecha Dodi, Ligrat Kala, Pene Shabbat, Nekabela, Lecha Dodi, Ligrat Kala, Ne Shabbat, Nekabela. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la la la.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, pechochma poteach she'arim, uvidfuna mishene itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem berakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipne choshech, v'choshech mipne or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Otanu le'madeta, al kein Adonai Eloheinu, sheinu umeinu, siach bechukecha, v'nizmar Yomam v'layla. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu litotafot beineinecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lehiot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. As you may have wondered, I actually just returned from Alaska, where my family and I celebrated 2 years COVID delayed 75th birthday for my mother. She's 77 now. And on the shores of a river, not the one that I rafted down near Seward, we saw salmon running the river. And the current was fast. And there they were, swimming upstream with this instinct to live and perpetuate for future generations. And they jumped and they moved and they made their way against the current, against the odds, to return home. And I think that that's a message for us too. We do something similar too. For thousands of years, we've sung the Mi Chamocha, and we sing out in joy and appreciation that we have the freedom to find our way, to journey with each other, to move sometimes with and sometimes against the currents. We find a way to trust our instincts, just like those salmon, for ourselves and for future generations.
Kodesh, Nora Tehilo, Do Sefela, Nora Tehilo, O Sefela. Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you? Adonai, who is like you? Adonai, lai 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 ya lai 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 ya lai 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 ya lai 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 ya lai lai lai.
נאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך
אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Spread the shelter of your peace over us.
continue with the words of a Shamru on page 162.
Bnei Yisrael, Oti Leolam. V'shamru Bnei Yisrael, Et HaShabbat, La'asot Et HaShabbat, L'dorotam Beritolam. Adonai, et Shabbat, et haaretz, shishat yamim, Adonai, et Hashamayim, et haaretz, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael, et Hashabbat, la'asot Et HaShabbat, L'dorotam Beritolam. Vayom Hashvi'i, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Vayom Hashvi'i, Shabbat vayinafash.
That my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanurah, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Lifnei v'Nehem, Leman Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Tagibor le'olam Adonai, מחלקי חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, בנאמנת להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
I want to invite you to be seated. And if you can, to place your feet on the floor and to settle into an upright position and to focus in on your breathing. To notice your breath flowing in and out. And when you're comfortable, to close your eyes or lower your gaze. Just continue to breathe slowly and deeply, and gradually relax. And as you concentrate on your breath, with each breath that enters, the light enters. And as you exhale, the light of your soul gently moves into the world. We take time in our prayers for silence to return to our breath and the awareness of our souls. So let us sit in silence and in this space give thanks for our journeys that has brought us to this moment. And in our silence, we continue with the prayers of our souls and our hearts. Each and every Shabbat, we take time to pray for the wholeness and healing and health for those that we love in our community with the names that are displayed on the screens. And we invite God's healing energy to fill and heal us, to bring us into awareness of all who are in need of healing, whether that's a physical healing or emotional healing. Sometimes it's people who are in this room or at home or in hospital rooms. And we take the names that we're sharing now and we add to those names the names of those that you're thinking about. As my eyes go around the congregation, I invite you to say their names out loud or in your own heart. And for those who are at home, to type them in the chat box. Baruch atah Adonai rofehe cholim. Blessed are you, O God, who supports, who comforts, who walks with those in need.
Mishaberach avotenu bekor haberacha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor haberacha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuge renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us
We're less than a month into our year of welcome of Rabbi Erdheim. And if you have not yet met Rabbi Erdheim, I invite you to do so, not right now, but after the service. We're thrilled to have her with us in our congregation and in our community. In a few months, I'm not going to be doing any introductions. She's just going to come up here and give a sermon. But we're just thrilled to have you, Rabbi Erdheim, so come on up.
How did you get here? On the first day of leadership team orientation at Jacob's Camp, we began our training with this deceptively simple question. The director looked at the assistant director sitting next to her and asked, "Hey, Becky, how'd you get here?" And each staff member then shared a very literal answer of how they got to Jacob's Camp. When they left their house, what highways they took, who picked them up, whether it was a plane, train, automobile, every last detail. And after we made our way all the way around the circle, the director again looked at Becky and asked, "Hey, Becky, how did you get here?" This time, Becky shared a deeper, slightly more metaphorical answer to the question, talking about her first summer as a camper, how she came back year after year, eventually becoming a counselor, a unit head, and then eventually applied to be the assistant director. Once again, we went around, and each team member explained their journey to camp that summer. Some of us had been going to camp since we were young kids. Others had heard about camp from a friend of a friend and had never stepped foot in Mississippi until that very day. So we made it all the way around the circle again, and we thought, okay, we're done with this exercise now, right? No. We then did it a third time, but it pushed us to dig even deeper. So even though the words of the question were the same, the meaning deepened beyond the how to the why. And that third time around was incredibly moving. Some staff spoke about wanting to give back to the place that had given so much to them as kids. Others spoke about personal and professional goals, about how they wanted to grow, and how they wanted to provide an amazing summer for our campers. But that last round would not have had any meaning if we had started the conversation there. We needed to first understand the how before we could fully appreciate the why. As a team, it was an important way for us to begin the summer. In order to know where we were going, we needed to know where each of us had come from. And all of us had had vastly different experiences, different literal and metaphorical routes that ultimately landed us in that room with a common goal of creating a safe, fun, and meaningful summer for our campers. This week, we're reading from the very end of the book of Numbers in the double portion of Matot Matseh. Matseh begins with that same question that was asked during orientation. How did we get here? Standing on the precipice of entering into the Promised Land, Moses recounts the Israelites' entire travel itinerary from the moment they marched out of Egypt until the present moment. Moses, it turned out, had recorded all 42 stops that the Israelites had made between Egypt and the plains of Moab, and he lists them off without much explanation or investigation of what actually happened in those places. It's It's kind of like if you went into your Google Maps and just kind of read off the routes that you put in recently. So in other words, it's not exactly the most riveting verses in the Torah. So what is it doing there? What is its purpose? From my perspective, I think this section of text functions as that very first round of how did you get here? It's the literal answer to the question. The Israelites need to be reminded of the steps of their journey before they can begin to dig deeper into their memories, which is exactly what Moses is going to begin to do in Deuteronomy, the book that we'll begin reading next Shabbat. Kind of reminds me of an old app called Foursquare. I'm not sure if people are familiar with it, but a long time ago, maybe about a decade ago, this app was all the rage. Wherever you went, whether it was somewhere as miraculous as the Eiffel Tower or as mundane as the dentist office, you would check in on this app and all of your friends could see where you were. And the goal was to get these badges and to go places the most times, and then you got to be the mayor. I wouldn't be surprised if about a decade ago, every time someone walked into this building, they checked in at Temple Bethel, hoping to receive the coveted position of being the mayor. It hasn't been in use for a while, but my sister still uses this app. And I make fun of her mercilessly for it. But she kind of has a point of why it matters. Sometimes we'll be talking about a trip that we went on years ago, and one of us will be like, oh man, remember that one restaurant we went to? It was so good. What was it called again? My sister will just pull out her phone and roll through Foursquare and roll back 3, 4, 5, even 10 years ago and find the name of the restaurant. And just hearing the name of the place that we were thinking about, it just suddenly brings to mind all of the layers of our experience there. Memory is kind of bizarre like that. When we come home from a trip, we remember some pieces so vividly, but some not at all. But when we read over an itinerary or look at pictures or souvenirs, memories, experiences, feelings from that moment flood back to us, and suddenly we can recall everything. Because those experiences shape us, even when they're not in the front of our minds. I think this is exactly what's happening in our Torah portion. Moses is jogging the memories of the Israelites. Even with the most surface level details, they're transported back to those moments, to the challenges and anxieties, as well as the joys and triumphs of each of the 42 steps of their journey. Often in our lives, we move through every day focused just on the task in front of us. We don't always stop to think about how we got here. Who are the people? What were the experiences, the decisions that influenced the journey that has enabled us to reach this moment? For each of us, those answers are different. And yet, all of us are sitting here in the same sanctuary with the same prayer book, saying the same words. Each of us will have a different answer to, how did we get here? But what if we took the time to reflect on our journeys and to share them with those around us and to learn about their journeys too? How might we better understand ourselves and our neighbors? Because, as was true at the beginning of a summer of camp and of the Israelites about to enter into the Promised Land, in order to move forward as individuals, as a family, as a community, we need to have a clear understanding of where we came from before we get to where we're going. Shabbat Shalom. We return to our service with the words of Aleinu. Please rise.
Shabeach la'adon hakol, la'teit kedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, velo Elkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol
Hamonam va'anachnu kore'im umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malkei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad ushemo echad.
Please be seated. Our thoughts turn to those who are no longer with us, but whose memories live on in our hearts each and every day. As I say the name of your loved one, I invite you to please rise. We hold in our hearts those who are in a period of shloshim of the first 30 days of mourning. Herbert Corday, husband of Mildred Corday, father of Barry Corday. Sam Foster, partner of Gloria Pepper. Harriet Hirschman, mother of Judy August. Varda Kaufman, aunt of Eve Nichols. Ellen Kelso, mother of Marty Kelso. Sally B. Kohlenberg, mother of Julie Tash, grandmother of Gemma Novak. And B. Melvin Swire, grandfather of Sam Swire. We mark the yahrzeits of William Herbert Billy Ashendorf, William C. Batt, Jules Bucksbaum, John Canfield, Gloria Coleman, Leon Dobbs, Marion Dobkin, Randy Fagan, Arthur Finken, Helen Glazer Finman, Harry Fox, William Friedman, Debbie Lynn Freiberg, Margaret Gentile, Nancy Gilberg, Ann Gerson Shore, Rose Gluckman, Jean Goldberg, Molly Haber, Pat Hayes, Leonard Height, Gersona Hyman, Ida Henschel, Yetta Peller-Hurd, Johanna Hilfman, Martin Herlick, Larry Kaplan, Zeev Carmen, Sadie Klotzman, Marie Kritzer, Harry Leventhal, Ida Levine, Shirley Levine, Edward Minogue, Jack Miller, George Irving Miller, Clara Newman, Ida Poehler, Sam Poehler, Bernard Price, Elaine Sanser Redlick, Mortimer Reich, Marion Sager, Albert Shear, Margaret Butler Sealbinder, Sylvia Slip, Bessie Stein, Lauren Stickler, and Maurice Weinstein. We rise as one community to offer comfort to all those who are bereaved. We join together for the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitzgadal v'yitzgadash shmei Rabbah, v'yalma zivrach chirotei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyamechon uv'chayei zechol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam almei almaya, yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzpa'ar v'yitzromam v'yitznaseh, v'yitzadar v'yitzaleh v'yitzalal shmei t'kudusha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, huya asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
Yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru
we conclude, a few announcements of some events coming up in the next couple of weeks. This Saturday, July 30th at 6 p.m., the porch invites young adults, young couples, and families with young children for an evening at the Whitewater Center to enjoy River Jam together. River Jam is a free concert series. All you have to pay for is parking. We're going to meet at 6 to explore, hang out, and picnic before this concert starts at 7. We are entering into our high holiday season, beginning with a series From Pain to Wholeness, a Tisha B'Av commemoration on Saturday, August 6th at 8 p.m. Meaning the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av is a traditional day of mourning the destruction of both ancient temples in Jerusalem. It's become our practice to remember other Jewish tragedies in our history on this day as well. Join us for this service of mourning and reflection as we lovingly acknowledge the brokenness and elevate the goodness. We have our Wild Acres retreat coming up on September 2nd through 4th. The great return of the Wild Acres retreat, a multi-generational congregation-wide weekend for adults, children, and families of all shapes and sizes. Labor Day weekend, and the retreat is 4 days long. And we will conclude with the words.
With these words from Psalm 96 that we sang at the very beginning of the service, Shiru Ladonai. Let's try it again. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai,
Kol haaretz, Shir Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Baruch Yom Yeshuato.
That part again.
Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Ladonai, Kol haaretz, Shir Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Basru miyom leyom leyeshuato.
Basru miyom leyom
Yeshuato.
Basru miyom leyom
Yeshuato.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
And thank you, Sean Higgins.